Good evening and welcome to Friday Night Firelight. I'm Brian, just letting you know 2 inches of rain, 35-mile-an-hour winds. Of course, I'm Irish. Of course the internet would go down. So we've queued up, right? We are preparedness experts. We've queued up a taped version of the show for tonight. You're absolutely going to dig it and going to want to ask yourself the question, if I were going to be my own cognitive bodyguard, what exactly would that entail? Well, here we go right now, the tape version of Friday Night Firelight. See you next week. Welcome to Friday Night Firelight, presented by Mortal Up. I'm Brian Brawdy, your host, broadcasting with Telestream's Wirecast, and sponsored by Nutrient Survival at nutrientsurvival.com. And of course, Firebugs at Firebugs, that's BUGGZ.com. Evening once again, and welcome to Friday Night Firelight. I got to tell you, right, the whole thing about moths to the flame, I can absolutely attest to that, because we're sitting out here and two moths, just while we're getting ready to go, two moths have flown right into the flame. It doesn't smell that bad, really. I think you get over it after a while. Hello, welcome. There's so much to get to tonight, and I should tell you that we've decided that the Friday Night Firelights will be 20 minutes so that people can get in, get their information, and get out without me, blathering on and on. If you've watched, you know that goes on forever. So let me get right to thanking our sponsors, of course, Telestream's Wirecast, who's bringing us to you. Thank you so much, guys. And then also Nutrient Survival. Years ago, let me admit, mea culpa. Let me be the first one to make a mistake. Years ago, I used to be the spokesperson for a survival food company. And, it'd be like holding hot air balloons against someone that was what they considered to be the best mode of air transportation before Kitty Hawk. Or maybe, right, holding against someone to go, hey, I got a crystal ball. I'm telling you, this horse and buggy's looking pretty good. But then Ford comes along and everyone's driving a car. So people's opinion evolves. People can admit, hey, I made a mistake, or at the very least, I made the best decision I could with the information at hand. But boy, what a difference a decade or thereabout makes. With Nutrient Survival, you talk about nutrient-dense food that's good for you. It's good for you in an emergency situation, heaven forbid, down the road, but it's great for you and your family today. Go ahead and check them out. You'll be very glad that you did. It's good for your mind. It's good for your body. It's good for your soul. It's just downright tasty food. And when we talk about tasty food, I also want to thank our good friends at Firebugs for not only the Firebugs fun fire pit, but I should make mention, we're baking, right? We're baking family bonds. We're grilling good times. Whenever it's tough enough to get your kids to be excited about anything other than video games anymore. So what I've found is that inviting them all to come sit by the fire, whether we're making s'mores, whether they're cooking hot dogs, or, we'll be talking in the future about how you can do shrimp, how you can do scallops. It's not just hot dogs and sausages and the like that they cook, not just stuff that you throw on the fire with some large cast iron, but some really cool, innovative things that they've done at Firebugs to make sure the whole family can get into the show. And as I say, that's super important, a day where our attentions are drawn in all different directions. The Firebugs Fun Pit, the Family Fun Pit, is that center, that hub of the wheel where everyone can come together and not only rekindle great memories, but set some great memories for the future to come as well. All right, so let's get into it. If you've heard the commercial or seen me talking about it all week long, we're talking about Cognitive Bodyguard. And why is that? Now, in case you didn't see the commercial, let me catch you up very quickly. You and I, brother and sister, you and I, like it or not, are in the middle of a huge psyop. Psychological warfare is being waged against you and I as we do this show. Hear me out. As many of you may know, I started my law enforcement career in the military as a military law enforcement, and then got out and became a civilian police officer. And so I look back at those days, I call it kindergarten for cops, right? On day one, what did they teach you? They taught you Never, ever, 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 ever surrender your weapon. Always secure your weapon in the face of the enemy. And you know why that is in law enforcement, civilian or military? It's because it's been my experience that if a bad guy or a bad girl, don't want to be sexist, a bad guy or a bad girl gets your weapon away from you, they're not only going to put 2 bullets in you, they're going to finish the rest of the bullets, whether it's a revolver or an automatic. They're going to finish the rest of the rounds already chambered or the rounds in your clip. They're going to finish it on either the people responding to help you, or heaven forbid, the very people that you responded to try to help, they're going to turn that weapon on them. So you always, 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 always do whatever you can. They call it weapon retention. You do what you can to retain your weapon. Well, today, let's jump ahead. We were talking about PSYOPs just a moment ago. Today, the weapon that I'm talking about, quite possibly the greatest invention, the greatest amalgam, whatever term you're comfortable with, right? Big Bang or Big Breath, Garden of Eden, Savannas of Africa, couldn't care what you think, but it's important to you. However we got our start, the greatest gift, the greatest invention, the greatest creation in the universe is a human mind. And there is an effort, a really cunning effort, to use your weapon, your mind, your human mind against you. There, you hear all the time in PSYOPs lingo of let's try to win the hearts and minds. Well, that's what's happening to you and I. They're trying to convince you that you're fragile. They're trying to convince you that you're weak and that you're in need of Big Brother doing whatever it can to save you from the big bad wolf. Well, here's another way of looking at it, as I've come to look of it of late. They want to make certain they know how to hijack, speaking of the human heart and human head, they know and they want to hijack. You and I have an underlying, doesn't matter if you're Irish, right? Like me, doesn't matter. But we have an underlying, although very, very small, chronic, not necessarily acute, although it could be, but a chronic sense of guilt. Maybe we feel a little bit of shame because we haven't experienced life to the fullest. We haven't turned out to be everything we thought we would be. So we have this little low grade, like a low grade fever, right? Like a low grade sense of anxiety and guilt and shame that our lives haven't turned out to be as packed full of potential as they could be, right? We haven't grabbed life by the throat and shook it till it gave us what we want. So you and I, from time to time, and it may be subconscious, but from time to time, we're not our biggest fans, right? We look in the mirror and go, really, is that all really, that's it? All my life, I've been like Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill. All my life, that's all I have to account for. So admittedly, again, could be subconscious, we have a low-lying sense of guilt and shame. Well, these cunning guys and girls, again, don't want to be sexist, they've learned to use that guilt and shame. They've learned how to hijack our hearts and our heads to go, well, they already have an underlying sense of guilt and shame. Why can't we co-opt that? Why can't we get in and make them feel guilty, make them feel a fragility, make them feel that they should be ashamed, that they should pay reparations to the future for things that maybe their family, maybe their parents or grandparents or great-parents or great-grandparents did. Maybe we should try to make them feel guilty. Since they already feel guilty, maybe we can just redirect that guilt and that shame a little bit. So now we can get them feeling guilty. We can get them feeling full of shame. We can get them feeling fragile for something great. Here's the great part of it. They had absolutely nothing to do with. No skin in the game. Speaking of skin, no skin in the game. That's the beauty of their plan. They go, oh, wow, look at this. If there's a repeater gist, here's some shame, here's some guilt, here's some anxiety, here's some just feeling of blah. Why don't we hijack that and use that to our causes? We can play them like a sock puppet, right? Hello, how are you? Oh, who was that? No, see, you're not supposed to be leaving the ringer on in the middle of a show. What is wrong with you? So, right, there's a good, look, they tried to hijack. Right in the middle of the show, there's an incoming call trying to hijack what I'm doing. All I'm simply suggesting is that's the PSYOP that you and I are in. You and I are in the middle of someone trying to steal our focus, steal our attention, steal the very best parts of it, and use it. Use our personal power for their own advantage. Why? It's a great question. Because they don't have the ability to generate their own personal power. They don't have the ability to generate their own wherewithal. So they need to steal yours. They need to usurp ours. And it's brilliant when you think about it. Lex Luthor, he's got nothing on these people. Let's use the underlying guilt and shame to hijack them and to make them have guilt and shame, but direct it where we want to direct it to. So we got to give up hamburgers. We got to give up cows. We got to give up cars. Oh my God, global warming is going to kill us all. Let's get them feeling guilty and shameful about things that they have no control over. Brilliant plan till we came along, right? So what is, I promised earlier, the cognitive body? What's like the gist? What's the thumbnail if we only have a few minutes together? What is that? Now, I know is where we get all kinds of hate mail, right? So if you're like, oh, I heard the cognitive body and cognitive bodyguard part of the show, and I disagree. Here's the thing. Everyone says, oh, well, you should be kind. Well, what if our kindness is killing us? I mean, yes, we don't want to be mean people, but maybe we're being kind to the wrong folks. Maybe we're being kind in the right situation. It should be situational kindness, but just not a blanket kindness. And I think about raising 5 kids, and they say all the time, you just want to be nice. Well, maybe you don't want to be nice to that person. Maybe that person doesn't have your best interest at heart. Why would you? I hear this all the time. Well, it's important not to make people feel bad. You want to teach your kids, do what you can to make sure that what you say doesn't make someone feel bad. And you know me by now, if you've listened, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, well, what if you learn early on not to let anything that anybody says make you feel bad? Maybe that's a better direction to put your energy into, is to say, hey, look, they're words. They're not weapons unless you invite them in. They're not injurious without your invitation. Right? So maybe that's a better thing that we should be teaching our kids as a part of the cognitive body program. Maybe you and I, maybe we're too kind. Maybe we're too nice. Maybe we put our own feelings on the back burner, no pun intended. We put our own feelings on the back burner because we want to be nice. We want to be liked. We want to be thought of as a good person. I got a bulletin for you. Who cares what other people think about you? You've heard me say before on this show, I couldn't care less about certain people's thoughts, opinions, feelings. Because why? Caring for those feelings is detrimental to my mental health. You got anybody like that in your life? You got a gaslighter you got someone running a psyop on you? Doesn't always have to be big government, big food, big this, big that, although it could very well be. It just could be a big bully wanting you to jump through their own hoops. Not their own hoops. They don't want the gymnastics of that, right? They don't want all the calisthenics of being responsible for themselves. So they're going to manipulate and control you so that they can get you responsible for their cushy life. My question is, what if you're not responsible? What if you're not? What if there's no reason for you to feel guilt or shame or anxiety? Maybe there's no reason for you to be kind. Would it kill us just to follow our own heart? Because ultimately, I think at the base of every human being, we are compassionate, we are nice, we are caring. So I don't think we're going to go all nuts if we go, yeah, maybe kindness isn't what it's wrapped up to be. And I hear this, you get it on social media. Oh, it's important to be kind. No, it isn't. It's important to be true to your own heart. It's important to be true to your own soul. Now, that doesn't mean you have to set out every day to be mean to people. We're not psychopaths. I'm simply saying maybe we put too much energy. Maybe we need to be a bodyguard, not for someone else's feelings. Let them be responsible for their feelings. Let me get this straight. Here's a news bulletin for you. You and I are not only supposed to be responsible for our own feelings, we're now supposed to be responsible for the feelings of everyone around us. That's how it's supposed to go. Does that make sense at any level? So maybe you and I can start going, I don't care what you think. You're not going to give me your guilt. You're not going to give me your shame. I saw some media report today where somebody in the media is, oh, shame on Bill Maher for saying this or that, right? They want to shame you. And here's what I've found in all these years of studying shame and guilt, right? Going on 40 years almost now since the suicide of my first cousin, my dad, and my best friend. And I wanted to figure out what happened to a human mind to get it to turn against itself. You know what I think the word is? It's the S word. I know what you're thinking, right? Why cuss on live a live stream? Why cuss? It's not that S word. It should. Well, I should be nice. What if you shouldn't? Well, I should be kind. What if you shouldn't? Well, I need to be compassionate. What if you shouldn't? Would it kill you for 20 minutes a day? You know how I am about 20-minute victories. 24-hour days divided into 72 20-minute chunks. What if for just 20 minutes a day, you could be narcissistically selfish, right? Where all you're going to focus on is what feels good to you in your core. Now, my belief is at the other end of that, what makes you feel good necessarily makes people around you feel good because they know who they're dealing with. They got the straight scoop. You're not busy walking on eggshells because you're afraid, you're scared, we're timid. We don't want people not to like us. We don't want people to think bad of us. I don't care what you think of me. I've said it countless times before. And maybe a function of the Cognitive Bodyguard could be, you could try it. 1/72 of your day, just for 20 minutes. You want to then go, oh, Brian's crazy. Well, but you know what? I did try it for 20 minutes and I came out feeling less stressed, less anxious, less depressed for sure. Because here's the thing, you and I can't control how another person feels. We have a hard enough time controlling how we feel. You and I shouldn't have to shoulder the responsibility. It's their baggage. When did you and I become a Sherpa? Let them carry their own baggage. It's important to be kind. No, it isn't. But if it is, let's say I'm wrong. It's important, first and foremost, to be kind to the reflection in your mirror. It's important to be kind to yourself. Be selfish. And if they don't like it, oh, well, shame on you because you're not jumping through our hoops. You're not dancing to the music of our drummer. You're dancing to your own music. Well, shame on you. I'm in. Give it to me. I can take it all. Why? Because I couldn't care less about your opinion. And maybe for just 20 minutes a day, we could try some of that. And then if you think, oh, my good golly, well, there's really is something to that. Then maybe you could do 2 20-minute victories. Maybe break them up a little bit. One in the morning, one in the evening, where your sole focus is your soul's focus. What is it that makes you happy? What are the hoops that you want to put yourself through? Not that society, not that family members, not that bosses, not that coworkers, not all these other people that give you a list of shoulds ready to shame you if you don't conform to their list of shoulds. Ever ask them, how about your list of shoulds? Busy conforming to yours? Nah, it's too much fun getting you to jump through my hoops. Too much fun playing you like a puppet. Maybe you and I should take a break from being played like a puppet. All right, Wayne, I wanted to say a quick howdy. How are you, fine sir? What's new and exciting? Anything back in the far north of Michigan?
Nope, just getting ready for another snowstorm.
Now that's my God, love you. I love it. You know, but you probably don't do much shoveling. You probably have a snowblower, don't you?
Nope, I got a guy to come. I pay a guy to come do it.
Sometimes it's the only exercise I get, right? When you get back in from your ruck and you go, oh, great. Well, what's your warm down? Shovel the whole driveway. Shovel the whole driveway. All right, Wayne, where are we on time? I know I said I wanted to try to hit 20 minutes so we could do Friday Night Firelight for 20 minutes. Where are we on time
You're at 18 minutes and 8 seconds.
I'm like a savant. Oh, and I haven't called a savant, so there might be something to that. Wayne, you know what? When I walk away, I call Wayne. He'll tell you how crazy I am. All right, so listen, thank you all so very much. Here's what I'd like to suggest in our closing minutes. I want to thank, obviously, Wirecast. I want to thank Nutrient Survival. I want to thank Firebugs. And I want to remind you, it's okay to be your own biggest fan. It's okay not to take their lists of should, not to take their shovel loads of shame, and let them in. It's like sometimes you get equipment or something and they go, oh, a signature is required, or UPS or FedEx won't leave it at your door. So they knock on your door. But if you don't answer the door, you don't sign for the package, they don't give you the package. So don't sign for their shames. Don't sign for their list of shoulds. Go, nobody's home. Let their call go to voicemail. You're here. This is your run at life. Why let the evil people, the psychopaths, you talk about gaslighters, why let those people run your life anymore? And if you've already put them in the rearview mirror and I'm preaching to the choir, God love you. Nice to meet you. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you so very much. We've got another really exciting Friday Night Firelight planned for you for next week. And pretty soon, Wayne assures me, we'll be inviting people by their fires to come on in. We'll send them a link so you can show us your fireside setup as well. Thank you so very much. Don't forget to check us out. Where is it? Mortalup.com, MORTALUP.com. And of course, whenever you can, share the video around, especially if you have friends that go, you know what, that's a little much, but he's onto something when he said you may want to tell them to put their shoulds, well, at least away from you, wherever that may be. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Wayne, how about you? Cue the close.